Hello everyone, welcome back for some more of our Let's Read a Fate prototype. So I do want to address something that it's been brought up a couple times. So the light novels here are not told in order. They are told out of chronological order, so here's the thing, I don't mind that. In fact, I actually kind of like it. And I know there's some people that are like, oh, but then you're not getting the story, chronologically. And it's like, yeah, but this is how it was intended to be told. It was sold this way. So as such, the idea that, oh, I'm getting the inferior product because I'm not reading it chronologically like how the drama CDs went, I disagree with that. It's sort of like the people that say you should play Metal Gear Solid in chronological order, and I say no. Release order is always the best thing. Simply put, it's how you do it. Can you imagine going through Garden of Sinners in, like, chronological order? Yeah, it's cool on a rewatch, but on your first time, the order is intentional. And so that's why I'm sticking with this order for this one here. So, with that said, we are on Little Lady Act 5. Probably going to do 5 and 6 today. Maybe the bonus content. We'll see how long it is, because that itself is a question on its own. So, let us get started. Act 5. A magus who has been loved by mysteries goes to play with their family. Drip, drip, drip. Lots of drops of water are pouring down from the tilted watering can. The weight which I hold is quickly getting lighter. The water permeates into the soil, down to the roots of the densely and thickly growing green garden. As she stares at her hands and the ground, Ai Kasejo breathes a little, her white breath. Although the sun was already rising right above her, the air was cold. Even the light of the sun, which was shining in here from the nearby glass walls, didn't feel so warm to her. As usual, watering the plants is carried out after my morning chores. The time is a bit slow today. I'm late today, too. My studies. My magic studies. I should probably do them. Yes, she slightly thinks. Even if I try to think about it, the answer won't come to me. There are some things I probably appear to have to do. Either way, it's studying. My magic studies or my school studies. Her papa is always saying that both are important, so Ayaka vaguely took it to mean I should probably do it. Obviously, I study magic because it's our family's magic lineage. Obviously, I must study magic. I must do my school studies because I'm a modern human. Both are necessary. Both are a matter of course. Even without a teacher. Taking a glimpse around, I return my gaze to my surroundings. Several pigeons are loitering in a spot that's a slight distance from my feet. As the reserved chirps make cooing sounds rumble from their throats, they're peeping at my appearance. My appearance? Peeping? Really? I'm watering them. That's her job. It might be my imagination, but I have a hunch that the pigeons are anticipating something from my own words and actions. No good, I mumble in a small voice. I already gave you some food. My reply is met with a couple of coos and motions, as if they were saying, I don't care, or I didn't even get anything. They tilt their necks. Whew, Aika exhales. Despite having broken the rules and called out to them, I don't think that the response that's sent back to me will be somewhat as stupid as this. I guess I'll be glad if I don't have to call out to them. Good grief. I exhale a sigh, not at the pigeons, but towards myself. I carry the watering can, which has gotten light enough to hold in one hand, vigilantly in both hands. I won't make that kind of mistake again. Yesterday, when I was giving water to the flowers and the green trees that grow thickly in the garden, I was just absent-mindedly carrying the watering can, which got lighter the more its contents lessened, not noticing that the weight balance was shifting each time it did. My hands carelessly let go of it, and my entire body got soaked in cold water. Moreover, not once, but thrice. My premonition where I was feeling that perhaps, or rather, it's not one of my good points, came true. Certainly, I'm clumsy myself. If I weren't so, then yesterday would have passed unexpectedly casually. That's why I won't make the same mistake again today. Regardless of whether I'm clumsy or reckless, I must learn from my mistakes. I've always heard it as such from Papa. I must be aware that my mistakes are a good opportunity to grow. I was probably told this countless times already. Yes, countless times, I nodded. I won't drop my guard. I'll carry the watering can with both my hands and water it down to the last drop. Yep. Nodding, I returned to the watering spot, deliberately ignoring the gathering pigeons who had misjudged it as me having finished the watering. After hanging the hose into the watering can's open mouth, I turn on the tap. A sound echoes of the sound of flowing water running through the water pipe and pouring into the watering can. There they overlap with the pigeons' warbles. Regardless of whether it's firmly soundproofed, I can't hear the outside noises. Is it an automobile on the main street? It's just like I'm in the middle of a forest. Despite not knowing how it is like a real forest. Yes, I vaguely think. It was because after a little while I realized there's no water pipe or service in a forest. I wonder if they're not here again today. My grumbling voice. It's small enough to fully disappear into the sound of the water filling up the watering can. Papa. I hadn't seen him since this morning. Same as yesterday. Big Sister. Big Sister Manaka didn't even show her face for yesterday's breakfast. This morning, too. An important ritual. What is it? Being held in Tokyo here is a large-scale magical ritual. It is said to lead to the Magi's greatest ambition. Including the Seijo family, all mages from past and present have wished, desired, and continue to have to reach out to this great item. In order to reach it, the ritual must be carried out. In the middle of the night before yesterday, her papa had said that much with a serious tone to Ayaka, who was nodding off with half-sleepy eyes. As she mixes his speeches, an important ritual. Papa, as well as Big Sis, are participating in it. When I asked, should I also do something too? Papa shook his head. You mustn't get involved with the ritual, but for a while, please take a break from school. As he said that, I wonder if I will always be on break. Yesterday, today too. I'm taking a break from elementary school for the second consecutive time. I'm always in the house. Because I've been instructed to never leave the grounds. Although, no matter how much she inquired about the reason for it, like, is the combat situation building up into a more chaotic state than first presumed? Or, did a master leave? Or, do we have to be careful of assassin? Or, is there a knot already suspected in the Reirukan manor? A knot? What do you mean by that? Her papa, who was just muttering some non-coherent speech to himself, never did give Ayaka a proper answer. Although, she thought it was strange, Ayaka obediently obeyed her papa with an okay. It's not even particularly the first time that Ayaka had taken the day off from school. There was a time when she was absent when she was completely bedridden with a fever, or the time when her chores had dragged on, or the number of times when she couldn't go to school as the barrier had to be extended due to Ayaka's own poor skill. To that extent, I think that since Pampa contacted my homeroom teacher last time, well, surely I should do something similar and contact her too this time. Like when my daily chores dragged on, I could do it while concealing the magical part. How did he contact her? I had a bit of interest in that. When I was absent with a real cold and fever, some classmates did come over bringing paints, together with some other people over for a visit, but nobody came when I was absent for my magic studies. And yet, when I went to the classroom the next day, my classmates would say something like, "You were absent. Are you all right?" The same things as when I was absent with a cold and fever. Did he use some sort of magic, perhaps? I wonder how he did it. I don't really know. I'd go ask him, but Papa isn't here. He didn't show himself during my daily morning chore hours, yesterday as well as today. Although my morning breakfast was prepared in the refrigerator with a memo with, "Please heat and eat the frozen food in the microwave for lunch and dinner" written on it, and was placed on top of the dining room table. It was exactly the same as yesterday. I don't really like frozen food, but I like frozen gratin quite a bit. But I slightly hate it when I have to eat it over and over again. If I ate it for lunch, as if talking to the pigeons beneath my feet, I talk to myself. What should I do? Should I watch some TV? The puppet TV show program that's playing on the educational channel is fun and pleasant to watch every day. But I think it's a bit lonely when I can't see my classmates. I also can't meet with Pop and Big Sis. To be absent from school, for Pop and Big Sis to go far away for some reason, doesn't mean that I wasn't lonely up till now. Papa especially would often leave home for several days for work, but it was rare for them to overlap. Taking a break from school, all by myself in a house with no one in it, I always water garden immediately after doing my daily chores like this so that he won't get angry about it, even if I do have some free time to spend until lunchtime. Since I'm alone, nobody can say anything to me. The Holy Grail War. While stopping the water that had overflowed from the watering can, I mutter those few words. The Holy Grail War. They were the words I caught from Papa's speeches on that evening, the day before the ritual. The day before yesterday. An important ritual, the Magi's great ambition, the Holy Grail War. I don't know the details of it, and I don't understand it, but there are some things that even Ayaka can sense in it just a little. About a few things. For example, Big Sister. Big Sis Manaka, she's way more sparkly than before. She's gotten prettier too. For example, my father. He's become different due to the changes in Big Sis's. He's become a bit scared of her. Papa's speeches are somewhat, even though I had never heard it even once, until now. The Holy Grail War. This is a mutual slaughter. Magi who become masters will normally decide to threaten your life. You must freely use your magical mysteries, and you must survive until the end by harnessing your servant. There are two conditions in which you can be defeated in the Holy Grail War. A case where you have lost your life, a case where you have lost your servant. Even if you can preserve your own life, if you lose your servant, then you will lose your right to obtain the Grail. But even if you perhaps lost your servant, don't let your guard down. You must seek protection from the Overseer who has been dispatched directly from the Holy Church, as possibility is more likely that you can be killed by the other masters. Protect your own life. Protect your family lineage. You mustn't stop your magic. Continue it. You mustn't stop your magic. Continue it uninterrupted. That was a strange. There's no comma there. You must use your workshop effectively. If a workshop determines your style of magic, then it will become your assured protection even against servants. On the other hand, there's a move where you can pretend to have an ordinary and an unchanging life. However, if you're a magus who possesses an external social network, and you suddenly stay inside your own workshop, there's also the risk you be surmised to be a master who challenges the Holy Grail War. But if you approach the Holy Grail War half-heartedly, there's also the possibility that you have already been grasped to have a shared lineage by your fellow masters. You must be simultaneously aware of your offense and defense, and protect your blood, your son, your daughter. Protect the people who will inherit your own lineage, inherit your magic circuits, and inherit your magic research. If you feel it is necessary, don't hesitate to use a decoy. Oh no, I hope. Whoa, this is making me worry. Because, like, would he even care about Ayaka? She's the second in line. Oh no. Nice sip of my tea. The western part of the Tokyo metropolitan area, inside Mount Okutama. Inside a clearing of trees that's far separated from the mountain path, a life or death struggle which couldn't be touched by anyone's eyes was unfolding. No, to be exact, the scenery was being reflected in the eyes of the birds dancing in the ashen sky. A lone knight, who is clad solely in blue and silver armor, slips through at the moment when the jaws of death rains down on him one by one, with an appearance of sometimes defending or clearing them away. The knight who stood on the mountain slope, Saber was intercepting the swarm of death flying straight at him. Countless steel approaches him to pierce through everything that's in their line of fire. They are arrows. Like the invisible blade that he holds, it is a weapon that shouldn't really be used in the modern era. One of the tools that humans employ to steal the lives of others who oppose them. Drawing their bowstring to the limit, they fire their nocked arrows, piercing through the target who exists at a long range and kills them. There's about 20 arrows per breath. That wasn't a common skill. In other words, there's no doubt that the opponent who is carrying out this attack is not an ordinary person. He exists as a being that surpassed human wisdom the same as Saber. It is probably not an exaggeration even to say that he's a fragment of the ultimate mystery. Generated by a servant, it's a special move that must be admired, as he's been using it even while killing the natural laws. Accompanied by an unimaginable speed and power, the released arrows shave off the inside of Mount Okutama. It drills a round hole into an able-bodied tree trunk, smashes the earth, crushes a lightly rained-on boulder. There are multiple simultaneous shots, roughly 20 of them. By relying on the tiny reflections of light carried by the steel arrowheads, or just on the small sounds of wind cutting, Saber was facing each deadly arrow head-on. He dodges them with basic footwork, slices through the ones that can't be avoided with his invisible sword, and yet repels the remaining arrows with his armor. One would probably express it as him exposing his armor. His silver armor, which was woven with mana. If there's an especially thick portion of it, and it may be up to the task to protect him against the deadly arrows that were gouging the earth and smashing the trees. Even with my sharp vision, I can't see Archer's figure. Although it's easy to pinpoint his location from the direction of the fired arrows, it appeared to him that the shooter is apparently keeping up his shots while moving through the mountain at high speed. With each group of fired shots, the attacking direction of the arrows are becoming distinct. Between him and Sir Tristan, I wonder which of them would come out on top. Protecting himself against the countless shots, he lets out a brief breath. One of the knights who once gathered at the round table, he thinks of him a bit, about that figure, and name. That knight who could freely operate a multitude of weapons naturally excelled at a bow too. The bow which hits its target, which he demonstrated even at hunting spots, was literally none other than his special move. If he confronted him with the skill of firing multiple arrows at once like this, then I wonder which bow would be superior at the end. As a knight who soared through the same war scene as him, it swells up my genuine curiosity. But it's not like this is a situation where I could spare thoughts about each of my regrets now. In the corner of his mind, he stops to meagerly think about the tiny bit extra further than... He stops to meagerly think about the tiny extra bit further than that. There in that battle, he focuses only on the battle. Becoming a solitary fighting machine, he just brings victory onto the battlefield. It is himself. That is what it means to draw a sword. If you feel it's getting dangerous, escape immediately. Hanaka's words from a moment ago. Saber remembers them precisely. You just have to draw out Archer for me. It was just before he set foot into the mountain. The girl who was his master said that to him, while frowning her expression. Moistening her blue eyes, which were transparent like a jewel, a sad color was expressed on her beautiful features. Her first words of, "Take care not to get hurt," were towards the one whom she could not protect, as the girl appeared to have been deeply worried about him. But that mattered not to Saber. Rather, one could say 'twas his specialty. For a servant must proceed to the place of exchanging lives as their master's blade. Truly, he was like a knight running through the battlefield for the sake of his master. In that case, the girl's words this time. I want to draw him out. Indeed, he would certainly accept his master's orders. He'll try to draw him out. For example, with hundreds, no, thousands, no, millions of arrows incessantly pouring down on him, he just tries to stick it out. He preps his sword, one-handed. If there was a blade that he could not wield to bisect his approaching enemy, but to knock down the arrows flying at him with, then one-handed is a fitting pose to carry his sword only in his right hand with. To prepare for any unforeseen circumstances, he should probably keep his left hand free. Stopping in a spot on the mountain slope, he continues to get further fired on. The flock of steel arrows attacks him for a few seconds straight. He safely dodges and repels them. Just when he felt his body was getting used to the dodging and defense, suddenly, the arrows broke off. Even after a few seconds passed, the arrows didn't come to do him in. Is he not giving up on an opponent who could bring him down at this current distance? No, it's probably not that. The servant's peculiar presence is unsteadily being pronounced in the mountain even now. I'll vigilantly lie in wait without demolishing my stance. And then, the sky was dyed black. It's not like black rain clouds had appeared all of a sudden, though it was enough to exhaustively fill up the sky with a surging wave of arrows, a torrent of death, a heavy rain of steel. How interesting. Prepping his invisible blade again in both hands, Saber mumbles a little. I can see a lone girl. I can say that she is adorable and possibly beautiful too. Lovely. I think a word like that suits her. That girl was walking in the mountain, all by herself. She's not even doing anything in particular. When she finds a butterfly, she tries holding it on her finger and smiles. She's singing and humming a tune. Is she a normal person who came for a picnic? But in this cold season, where it's so cold that my exhaled breath is turning white? I know there's no kind of evaluation criteria for an enemy magus like their outer appearance, but the fact that she's just a girl aches somewhere in my heart. Furthermore, more than anything, the girl's expression, the tune she hums, gentle, beautiful. I can feel too much of her genuine purity. Is this child who embodied that much loveliness possibly a participant in the mutual slaughter? The Holy Grail War and the rest of it? Mitsketa, I found you. She can see me. That girl is definitely looking over here at me. A few no ways rise up in my mind. Could she be a master? That girl? No way. Has she broken through my remote viewing magic at this distance? No way. Has she been searching for me? You're Archer's master, right? Thank you. I can read the words coming from her lips. This girl is a master. That's first, without a doubt. I must evacuate immediately. If she has enough talent to notice me at this distance, then it's probably easy for her to detect my whereabouts, but I couldn't move. Not my lips. Not my legs. Couldn't even move my eyelids. I can't move my body. It is utterly beyond stupid for me to ask, why? Thank you. Her words sping again from her cherry blossom-colored lips. Thank you. Why is this girl thanking me? She's speaking them to me, that much is certain, but I can't understand the meaning behind her words. Thank you. For what? You know, although I'm glad you let me have a picnic with him. Him? Is she talking about her servant? A picnic? What is she talking about? But the girl's expression darkens. In a sudden transformation, the face of loveliness itself colors itself with sadness. You made me expose him to danger. The inside of her eyes. So what will you do about it? I can see something. Please show us her eyes. Please let me turn the page and see a picture of her eyes. Oh, well, yeah. A little bit. I am kind of loving the child who is such an omnipotent magus that it becomes like a god. And the fact that we know that apparently she becomes a beast, what does that mean? How? Got me dang curious, you know? Okay. Oh, it's her dad. Aika, are you in there? The time had right past 2 p.m. Slowly, while thinking, my skills sure aren't all that great even for myself. Oh no, this is okay, this is Ayaka talking here. Right? Yeah, okay. I opened the same frozen gratin seal as I did for yesterday's lunch and dinner, placed it on a heat-resistant plate, and when I was staring at the microwave oven wondering how the oven functions work for the third time, Papa appeared in the kitchen. As I look at Papa, who reflects my gaze, I'm completely gobsmacked. Is it because I was thinking that no one was at home? Or did he come back home from the outside when I wasn't looking? If that's the case, then is Big Sis here too? Moreover, I think someone must be in one of the rooms that I mustn't enter. Manak isn't here. I'll be leaving soon too. I see. In that case, I should probably prepare 2 gratins. As she thinks that, Ayaka nods. Are you doing your studies? Papa's words. I don't know which studies he's talking about. Is he talking about my school studies or my magic studies? I'm doing them. I vaguely returned the words. I'm doing the former. I just have the feeling that I haven't done the latter properly. After all, Papa doesn't show his face during my daily morning chores. I can't tell if I'm doing it right just by myself. I can only understand it when it's proper. Have I been busted? He has pointed out the lie mixed into my words, despite thinking that I am. Is that so? I just nod briefly to that. Papa didn't come out and say anything. You're very late. For lunch. Yes. Did you forget the memo that said to please eat it properly? I'm sorry. I forgot to eat it. I spit out lies even here. To tell the truth, I was waiting for Papa or Big Sis to come home, because even if I heat and eat the frozen food by myself, if I'm not, it's not gonna be even a little delicious. After all, when I become much bigger, I can do more at home. I'll be able to cook, but then, would I be able to eat them deliciously even when I'm alone? Will you please set the table? Sure. You should respond with a yes, Ayaka. Yes. As he's still talking, I enter the dining room by myself. I'll wipe down the table with a wet dishcloth, and take out the forks from the cupboard. Since I had no idea about them, I tentatively take out enough cutlery for 2. I take out 2 cups and pour milk into them too. As I did a bit of it, I can hear the sound of a chime, ping, coming from the kitchen. Papa came in carrying 2 gratins that were placed onto plates. Ah, we're gonna eat it together. Papa and myself, we're gonna eat frozen gratin together. If we eat it together, then the taste of it won't probably change much. It'll be the same as yesterday's lunch and dinner, frozen food. What about Big Sis? I eat a bit of it and drink the milk. Although I gently asked about it, with a small voice, there's no response. The dining room is still quiet. As I raise my gaze from my gratin, Papa was making a strange face. Affixed with an expression that he didn't always show on his face, Papa is staring straight at me. Papa? What is it, I wonder? I've never seen this kind of face on Papa. In his eyes, there's something, a strange feeling like it's someone else. His expression, his face, his eyes. I feel something shivering down along my spine. It's really similar to what I felt when I saw Big Sis's smiling face a couple of days ago. It feels so terribly cold. Chilly. Manaka. Papa started to say something after closing his mouth once. The ritual will be held over a very important period of time, so take care to never get too close to the back room, and I shouldn't have to hear you calling your name out for us from there. Right. In this room, I thought there's someone here. Ayaka nods while consenting to it a little. In one of the rooms that I mustn't enter, there's definitely someone in the back room, which means that I did somehow notice them after all, although I didn't realize it at first. A few days ago in the middle of the night when I was walking in the hallway trying to get to the toilet, I had this feeling that I saw a shadow of a person. The Shadow's physique was different than Papa or Big Sis. Oh, it's Saber. I don't know why I didn't put this together till now. Okay. I was like, oh my god, who's there? And it was actually getting like really scared. It's like, oh wait, no, they're talking about Saber. Okay. Or possibly Assassin, I don't know. Okay. Whew. I was getting like really scared. And then I remembered, oh right, there is someone else technically. I hadn't thought, a burglar. I thought that they didn't want to be, thought that he didn't seem to be that bad of a person. I wonder if it's someone who has a relation to this Holy Grail War thing. A guest, maybe? I wanted to ask a question. Who is that person? Why are they in the back room? Are Papa and Big Sis meeting with that person? I wanted to say it. I want to ask him, but I can't say it. On Papa's face, there's still traces of an expression that I've never seen before. I'm too scared and I can't ask him. Is Big Sis okay? Muttering a few words, the words spill out from my lips. They're not the words that naturally come out from my lips. I was trying to say something and those words were squeezed out. I wanted to scrape the traces of that something which is still clinging off Papa's face. As I pretend to return my gaze to my gratin, I examine Papa's appearance. His expression, the emotions in his eyes. There's a strange, helpless feeling in them. She is, I guess. No, there's no problem with Manaka. I can't even spot one problem for her when we do the ritual to achieve our great ambitions, so you don't need to worry about her. Is that so? There's no He's trying to say something. It's almost like... However, he couldn't continue his words. At least to Ayaka. Problem? There's no such problem. It's almost going too well. Everything is going so swimmingly well for us that even the Holy Church is starting to have doubts. It's the same for me too. Why? Why can that do practically anything? I know that has a natural talent for it, but is that perhaps loved by magic? Loved by mysteries? But even so, to hold such regards for that servant while he's in a human body... Wait, what? Already that even acts like it knows the location of the Greater Grail. So why? When and how did that obtain the knowledge of it? I didn't tell that about it, so for that to easily make... Even lots of the secret rituals that doesn't exist in the Seijo lineage, her belonging is... What the frick is he talking about? Yeah, what is he saying? I have no clue what he's talking about. It was Papa's internal monologue. I didn't want to hear it. Ignoring the me who is right in front of him, the figure of Papa who is mumbling and grumbling something was very weird. Very weird after all. Oh man, what the frick? There's a lot to that there. There's a lot with that one that right now doesn't make sense, but probably will later. That's the point of out-of-order storytelling. That's the beauty of it. About my Papa. I love him. I love him. I also thought that Papa surely loves me too. Yeah, I think that even now. Even now, I love that about Papa. I just think that it's a bit scary. Just that. Yeah, just that. So I wait until he returns to normal for me. Stop talking to yourself. Turn back into regular old Papa again. Even though it should have been the same thing I ate yesterday, for some reason the gratin had no flavor. It's squishy, rubbery like gratin. When I finish eating it, finally Papa was making his usual face. Papa, who is quiet, serious, and a bit stern for me. I'll do the cleaning up, so Papa, you can go to work. Papa, with his usual face, with a quiet voice, he says... Oh, did I miss that? No, that can wait till later. I missed that. Whoops. Let's go to the garden. I have something I need to tell you, Ayaka. What is it? I tilt my neck and tried to ask why. Papa took my hand and we leave the dining room. We walk together into the hallway. Huh? Huh? It's very strange to be holding Papa's hand like this. I have a feeling that I've taken it like that before when I was at a much younger age at least. I think it's not a memory from when I moved up to elementary school. We open the door in front of us, where I've walked through much of the house's corridor, and we leave for the outside. We proceed through the passage, open the end glass door, and finally we arrive at it. Garden. Where I spent most of my morning hours, our garden. Surrounded by glass walls and ceilings, it's a place of green trees and flowers. I do my morning chores here, and it's my study spot. Nobody can destroy this spell formula. In the worst case scenario, please take refuge in here. The worst case? The meaning of it is exactly as it sounds. Even if you do pay careful attention, a critical situation may break out. Huh? I don't really understand it. I try to look up at Papa's face. It's the same as his words. Papa's expressions, I don't understand them really well. Although the sky was getting cloudy, it's still bright, but I couldn't see Papa's face because of the light coming in from the glass ceiling behind him. I didn't want to tell you this, but everything here was made by your mother. I see. I did have that kind of feeling. That it wasn't my Papa who made it, I mean. It's true. She made it for you. Huh? My neck got completely tilted. This place. Since I thought that garden was a place to do magic studies in, it's for the sake of the Seijio family magics. So naturally it is for the person who will inherit the house, for Big Sis. But Big Sis... Manaka probably won't need this place. Your mother definitely understood that too. Mother too? He says she understood. What? So Ayaka, Papa touches my shoulder. This belongs to you. Only a bit more strongly. Papa holds me. It's just yours. And then Papa told me some words about garden, about Mum, and after that about myself. Although I nodded over and over again saying yes, I don't really understood the words being said to me. But even so, I understood them. Papa. My Papa, who had become a bit scared, but in truth, nothing really did change. Surely it'll be over soon. Once the important ritual ends, then he'll definitely make sure to return to normal. Right? This is so sad from her point of view. Oh my god. This is so rough. Whoa. This is interesting. A fired arrow won't return ever again. Though if you knock the arrow onto a bow, draw it to its limit and fire it, it'll be able to backtrack somewhat, Archer says, to his master, who is repeatedly sobbing even now. Berserker howls to the moon floating in the sky, in the middle of a sturdy magical garden that's like a fortress. Wait, what? Thou art a kind person, an honest person, you who doth adorn yourself in silver armor. Even as I pierce your life with my lance, you probably will not change. Lancer mumbles, while scorching her body in the flames that blaze her from within. Assassin, my master, everything I do is for your sake, Assassin whispers while repeating her deadly dance again tonight. Who is the rider in this? Who's the rider? I do see it says the word mongrels, but... He's not Rider Gilgamesh, is he? What the frick? I guess we'll have to learn. I guess I'll do the Gil voice for now. Ha ha! Flee, run, fly away. Struggle to the best of your ability. Scream, shout. Either way, the fate of all three of you mongrels is to burn and vanish by my light. And it says the king sonorously cries. As he sits on his ship floating in the night sky, He burns the surface with a scorching heat that is like a sun, releasing an arrow. The war has already begun. The Greater Grail, a wish-granting device that continues to operate mercilessly, as many tragedies revolve around it. The promised time is near. The Holy Grail War will increase in violence, infringing itself upon Tokyo. The Lady Act 6. Okay. Sounds like, yeah, things are kind of coming to a head, you know? Are we sticking with Ayaka's point of view, though? Because that's, like, kind of the saddest thing ever. The person beyond the smile is... Oh, yeah, absolutely. Here we go. It is a memory. A memory of the morning when I last saw that person's figure. Well then, I'm off. As she said that, Big Sis was trying to go out without carrying anything. There's already no sign of Papa. Although she didn't exactly understand it, Ayaka Seijo faintly thinks she's definitely not coming back home after last night. There were just too many secrets about the ritual that her father and big sister were said to be participating in that the young Ayaka just didn't know about. It was unavoidable. After all, I'm different from Big Sis. My special Big Sis. My beautiful Big Sis. My big sister, Manaka Seijo. Just by walking through the corridor and walking the distance, the front entrance like this, right? Everything about her is different. The morning sun, which shines in through the window, glitters as its radiance sprinkles over Big Sis's whole body. It's as if she's something more precious than that, like a fairy or princess from a fairy tale. Even among the picture books, which my father had read to me only just a few times just before going up to elementary school, there was never a person who shines as much as this. There wasn't even one among the foreign animation films that I had watched several times by myself. She's just too different from me. Am I ordinary? Or a mediocre person, maybe? Such words suit me, Ayaka thinks. Right. It's the word that I had just learned in my elementary school's Japanese language class. Ordinary. Despite it being a word that I should have already known, having listened to the explanation from the teacher's mouth and having watched the sentence being written on the blackboard in white chalk. Oh, I see. That's how it is, I had thought. The two characters written by my teacher's hand, they're definitely about me. My big sis, who can master anything. Even one of the black magics that I myself is far from mastering. At around the age of 8, the same as myself, Big Sis was said to have perfectly mastered 2 types of our family line sorcery without even a bit of help. Ayaka, who had listened to that story while her eyes were lighting up, unintentionally slipped out, "I wonder if I'll be able to do that too," out of her mouth. Was it about last year, or a little before that? Papa then quietly shook his head and said, "It's because she's special. Please, you are only to think of mastering the Seijo's black magic." At first I thought, perhaps it might be because I'm a bad girl. I was depressed as soon as I thought that. I was sad, miserable. I couldn't sleep. I also lost my sense of time. I was even more than 20 minutes late time-wise to go out for my daily morning chores. However, I immediately realized that it's not that case. I completely realized it. According to his words, Big Sis is just special. At the same time, I myself was no more than a child from a very ordinary and average Magus family lineage. To master the magic of one's family line is simple to say in words, but actually by properly inheriting a family line's magic circuits, which have been engraved into our blood, one can learn an entire lifetime's worth of knowledge, study it, and somehow is a good place to be able to master one's lineage. That is normal. That is my average style of black magic. Even if I think I want to be, just like my big sister, I cannot become her. That is probably because I've already decided that it's hopeless. It's somehow better to think that way, so I won't think it this morning either. My so much prettier big sister is a radiant person. Even as I witness the brilliant soul of the one called Manaka Seijo, who is proceeding down the hallway while twirling around and around while basking in the shining sunlight, I won't think if I become like this, or I want to become a wonderful woman, I won't think about such things. I absolutely won't think about them. I can't think like that. I'll only just look. Like looking at the birds dancing in the sky, or the bugs crawling on the earth. Like the many magi who yearn for the root of all creation. Manaka. Big sis. Sighing, I mumble her name. Already, the huge door to the foyer appeared before my eyes. If I pass through here, Big Sis will tell me that she probably won't be coming home for a while. A while back, I was smoothly told that when the two of us were alone at breakfast time, at that time I hadn't said any words besides, "Is that true?" But in the front door of the foyer, soon I really will be all alone, I thought. Naturally, I opened my lips. My voice, the words, however small, slip out. "Big Sis, are you going now?" "What is it?" Spinning, Big Sis turns around to me. As she turns her back to the huge wooden front door of the Seijo house, that figure, in some respects, also appears similar to Alice from the fairy tale, where she took a journey into Wonderland that was filled with strange and miraculous things. "Tilt your head," Big Sis said, a pretty sound like a ringing of a bell. Her voice. "Geez, Ayaka, you're already an elementary school student, and yet I wonder if you're lonely by yourself." "I'm not lonely. Do you hate liars?" "I'm lonely." With a much smaller voice, I look down. "Haha, that's great. Great. That's right, you mustn't lie." "Have I maybe told a lie before?" "But I think I'm definitely lonely. What I'm feeling is real. I'm lonely. It's lonely being alone in a huge house. Especially when there aren't so many times when the two of us are together, even when Big Sis stays at home before this magic ritual. The Holy Grail War began, and I felt like it wasn't necessary enough for me to just face her even at mealtimes. Even so, I think I'm lonely. There's someone somewhere in my house. My big sister is here. My father is here. If I'm alone without meeting anyone on top of that, then when I'm really alone with nobody here, I have a feeling that it'll be different. How should I put it?" As she looked up at her big sister, Aika went completely silent. "Even if I'm lonely, I can't say stay with me, can I? I won't allow it to begin with. For my big sis who is going out to do an important ritual, I'll restrain myself somewhat. I'm happy that you're bearing it for me, Aika. There. Big Sis's hand reaches out, touching Aika's head. "You're great. Great." As she says it, she strokes my hair. Despite thinking that it's a first for her to do something like this, why do I feel a familiar presence in the way that Sis is using her hands? Suddenly my neck tilts. I wonder why. But I cannot. I have to go now. To the Greater Grail. For that person's sake. Big Sis shows a smile. I wonder if the day might come when you'll understand too. Sparkling, she glitters. Doing something for the sake of somebody else, I mean. Is it about longing for someone? See, she's like a princess. Or is it about being in love with him? Big Sis who is saying that is more prettier than anything, or anyone too. In that moment, the world will, for the first time, start revolving, even centering, around me. To long for someone. Love. Certainly, it's a beautiful word, I think. With a voice which uttered so much from dazzling Big Sis's lips, her words were shining more intensely than the radiance of the sun flowing in through the window with an, it's wonderful. Aika was overwhelmed by them. It's just that her words and the radiance brought from her smile is so overwhelming that I can't possibly consider nor think of anything else. To fall in love, she said. Love. The thing is, even if I know it is a word, I haven't actually felt it before, so... I mean, he is my fated partner after all. While I was listening to her pretty voice, he really exists, Ayaka. My eyes, I fully avert them. Anything. Even your life. Not even caring if you sacrifice it. A partner who seems to be like that. I can't stand Big Sis's radiance anymore. He exists. I'm already with him. Sparkling, Big Sis tells me this while wearing a glow. Normally I was supposed to be captivated by it. However, for some reason, why do I have this indescribable gray haze swirling around in my chest? Why am I the one averting my eyes? It's because the entirety of Big Sis who shines so much is way too dazzling. Or have I been feeling something else? Ayaka didn't understand it. Why? Why am I feeling so anxious? In front of this person who's radiating so much. Her life? Sacrifice it? Yes, spoken from this person's mouth? Big Sis. Looking down, the words leak out. You won't die, will you? Still with my eyes cast down. You better come back, okay? To our house. Make sure you come back, alright? Like a prayer, it's a request to my Big Sis. We'll meet again, right? Drip, drip. Tears are falling as I tell her these words. Without raising my head, while still unaware that this is the last moment between us, without facing her gaze properly. That's why I didn't realize it. That in her next words, more precisely in that small instance when Manaka Seijo replies back to her words in that tiny moment, what on earth had happened? The glimpse of her, what she had believed to have seen till now at that moment, was accompanied by a clear figure, but to Ayaka it was right there. She didn't notice. No, I think it's better for you if we don't meet. The pretty echo, the sound of her voice. But you're right, a voice clad in mystery. If you're that attached to me, gently, reaches me as if I'm being hugged, my sister's words, then, if I feel like it, I'll even make use of you too. As Big Sis tells me this, what kind of face was she making? As Big Sis said that to me, with what eyes was she looking at me with? Until the end, Ayaka Seijo hadn't realized it. At least on this day, morning, and time, I hadn't realized it. Oh my god, this is so scary, actually. Her entire world is gonna come crumbling down. This is, oh my god. The Holy Grail War. It's about the end of it. The Holy Grail activates by burning the lives of 7 servants. On top of the structure, only one master can become the victor. An outcome in another form is something you couldn't originally get. But if you disregard the outcome of it, then a different form of conclusion is also possible. In other words, a case where all the masters are either defeated in the Holy Grail War or chosen to resign the right to participate. We Magi, who seek the root of all creation, have a very low likelihood of requesting a personal abstention during this Holy Grail War, which is the greatest of opportunities for us, but I will speak only of that possibility here. Being defeated, in lots of cases, is likely accompanied by the death of a Magus, as described in a separate heading. The waiver of rights, this is established by announcing it to the overseer that is dispatched from the Holy Church, as described in a separate heading. The result is either elimination or a waiver of their rights. If by chance there's a case where the number of masters becomes 0, then this is greeted with a conclusion called no victory. Without our great ambition fulfilled, we will wait for our next opportunity. But, an excerpt from an old notebook. It is a memory of myself from 8 years ago, when I saw that person's figure for the last time. The last? No, that's wrong. That was only a temporary parting, because the real last time came soon after that. I can't remember it all except for in fragments now, but there is one memory that I don't want to remember. An important magic ritual, the mutual slaughter of 8 years ago. Performed through the joint hands of the Mages Association and the Holy Church, the very first Holy Grail War. My memory is vague sometimes, yes, so these scraps of the last time might be a good place to start. although I believe I have recalled it to someone before. See, even if I can arbitrarily fully recall it like this, falling asleep I dream. Oh, I wish that I didn't have to see such dreams, though such a meager wish of mine will not be granted. The merciless Hypnos is forcibly showing me these memory fragments to me like this. The first one is of my memory of that early morning 8 years ago, my farewell with that person. The last one is of my memory of their demise 8 years ago. It is the real one, the real moment of Manaka Big Sis and my parting. In the deep, dark, deep underground of Tokyo. In a three-dimensional magical circle, something black is drifting in the Holy Grail. Standing in a line of sacrifices, a countless number of girls falling in order. Ordinary, plain lives that are just going to be consumed. A life. Someone's laughing voice. Someone. That's probably right. I think that's my father's laughing voice. Everyone is waiting for their turn so peacefully, but Aika's special, someone said. Fall right now. Become my ingredients. I know that's someone's voice. After all, ordinary people only have enough of useful value for that. That was definitely Papa's voice. What the hell do you mean? The voice of my Papa shouting. I hate it. Stop it, Papa. This average, mediocre, ordinary person. Stop it. Why are you saying those things? I was mistaken to have chosen you. Wait. Oh my god. Whoa, okay. Why are you shouting like that, Papa? Let go of me, it hurts. I hate it. Am I going to fall too? Over there? And then my consciousness spins and blacks out together with my despair. A lump of meat. Or spinning. A lump of meat. A scream. Red. I didn't see anything. What I noticed was after I felt something that had covered my face. Right, I opened my closed eyelids. Then I saw it. I'd seen it. Big Sis, as if she's protecting me. Like she's even protecting me, is standing dead still. Big Sis. Could I have said something at that time? I might not have been able to say it, because I realized what that thing covering my face was. Blood. Covering my face is Big Sis's blood. My older sister who stood right there in front of my eyes. A pretty person who shined more than anyone like a princess. Something is bulging from her chest. That thing pierced through my pretty black feather pattern on her chest. Through the pretty black feather pattern on her chest is a golden blade. She's been pierced by someone's sword from behind. Manaka, Big Sis. In other words, what's covering my face is... Big Sis is... The light of the dazzling sun shines in through the gap of the closed curtains. The voice of songbirds tell the time while perching on the branches of the trees right beyond the window. Signs of the morning. The coldness and darkness of the night disappears off to somewhere like a lie. The day which should have been tomorrow, until right before I go to sleep, comes along and becomes the form of today. Rubbing her heavy eyelids in her soft bed, Ayaka Seijo wakes up. Why? Because she had a cruel dream. Although the contents of it are fragmentary and she doesn't really remember them, she only remembers that moment of that memory of that moment 8 years ago appeared to her as her dreams. It's morning. While mumbling it in her mind, she stretches out her hand to the digital alarm clock that was placed on her bedside. As her right hand came out of the blanket, a chilly air touches it. This feeling is my group of favorite things. Is in my group, rather. Yes, even the comfortable feeling of her bed, which regulated her own body temperature, or the light of the morning sun, she likes them just the same as those songbird voices. Even so, Cold things are cold. Although she is driven by the temptation to want to curl her entire body up in her blanket and fall asleep again, she somehow endures it. She brings the digital alarm clock closer to her eyes. Although the part about her normally spending her everyday life, even without her glasses, didn't trouble her very much, with eyes which had worsened as they were in these 8 years, it was hard for her to see the items on hand without wearing glasses. After all, she is nearsighted. 1999. After turning a fleeting gaze toward the Western calendar display like always, she checks the time. AM. 5:59. 5:59 a.m. It's not a particularly uncommon time for classmates to have morning club practice, for instance. However, Aika didn't belong to any club, so this time is definitely the time when she must get out of bed. Perfect. She mumbles it. She turns the alarm switch off. The time the alarm was set up for is 6 a.m., so perfect. She had to quickly get out of bed. Wriggling, crawling out of her blanket, she squirms to take off her pajamas. She then puts on her high school uniform, which had been laid out before she went to sleep last night, puts on her glasses, which had been left on top of her desk, then combs her hair in front of the full-length mirror that was beside her wardrobe. Since her hair is not really that long, she finishes it right away. It's okay. Didn't affect her breakfast time. Her breath is white. The air in the corridor is even more colder than the inside of her room. Walking to the bathroom at a fast pace, she washes her face with water that was so cold the air didn't bother her at all. Naturally, she fixes her fringe in place with a pin so that it doesn't get wet. Huh! It's cold. Surprised, she lets out a cry. Although she was thinking, I've clearly woken up by myself. The hints of sleep that were apparently still left somewhere on her vanishes in that moment. Her consciousness is clear. Wiping the moisture off her face with her personal towel, she removes the fringe pin as she puts on and adjusts her glasses. Suddenly, it catches her eye. A small stepladder which she cannot use now. I should throw it away. Next time. After muttering it and sighing, she looks at the mirror. Naturally, her own appearance was reflected in there. She didn't even wet her bangs, so it's her 16-year-old self. She didn't resemble that person very much, but if she's forced to say it then. What an ordinary face. The words were naturally spilling out. A girl who wore glasses, a girl who didn't stand out or seem to fit in anywhere is in there. She might not solely resemble that person, or even have her clear eyes, which should shine by catching the light, but they didn't attractively shine through the lenses of her glasses. Yes, Aika thought. It was a face that couldn't be said to be in her favorite group of things. Before her own reflection in the mirror, she wondered why the expression in her eyes were so full of caution. It might be oozing out of her character. Her personality. In other words, I'm gloomy, cowardly, narrow-minded, and... Crap, the time. So hopelessly... ordinary. Rushing, she walks through the corridor and opens the door to the dining room, passing through it to the kitchen. Although he says that he doesn't mind the person-on-duty system for cooking, she wanted to make it by herself as much as possible, after the unbelievable amount that he had made the last time she entrusted him with it. Although she didn't particularly mind having to eat lots of food, it would be bothersome to naturally come up with something if she has to eat the same amount of food as him. Fetching some vegetables from the refrigerator with her fingers, which still the bandage on it from the yesterday wound around it. That's such a strange way to say it. She grasps the kitchen knife and begins with tomatoes. With a tap-tap, she starts cutting them up. She's cutting the vegetables, she thinks, I've gotten more skilled at it when compared to when I was a child. It was after elementary school when she had noticed that even one style of cutting changes the texture of the food, directly connecting it to taste. To that end, she couldn't really puff her chest at it. Despite being able to mainly prepare vegetables, it had taken a considerable amount of time for her to realize it. I'm really ordinary, aren't I? Good morning, Aika. It appears you're early again this morning. That was Saber. Whoa. Suddenly a voice. Despite not wanting to be surprised at the moment, ah! She cries. She was surprised. As she turns her gaze, he appeared there. He who had blue eyes that appeared green with the addition of light. My servant. Ah, jeez, don't scare me like that, Saber. I'm sorry, Aika. Didn't mean to surprise you, but you were concentrating. I'm just cutting vegetables. Well, I can see that, but still, very skilled at handling kitchen knives. He smiles as he says it. It was his usual smiling face. A kind smile that was as if he was saying, "I'll accept everything about you." It was definitely an illusion, but the sunlight that was shining in from the window felt like it was sparkling and shining, wrapping around him as if he was being blessed. It didn't mean that he was emanating magical power, or that even he was a prince inside a picture book. It's normal. Somehow, she slightly says it while forming a calm voice. She focuses on the cooking task before her eyes. Let's finish this quickly. Quickly, she makes the breakfast. In the fresh vegetable salad are sunny side up fried eggs, as well as toast. Sausages, which were also prepared because he came up to her and asked, "Don't you have any meat?" are also fried. Meat. Oh, meat. Meat. Stuff that comes from the bodies of living beings are no good to her. She can't stand it. Blood, too. So, sausages. The feel of the meat, the non-impression of blood, ready-made stuff. She couldn't handle those kinds of meats unless it was a style of processed food. She can only say that she is disqualified as a black magus. The bandage that was wrapped around a finger on her left hand was good proof of it. Wow, this directly ties in almost exactly with where we watched the OVA. This is amazing, actually. It's kind of cool. Although Aika thinks she's pitiful, there's just no helping it in this. It looks delicious. I just sliced and fried it. Skills can be applied to simple tasks. The same goes for swords and kitchen knives too. Without deliberately answering it, she begins to try and set the dining room table. And, as if she was anticipating it, he had done it in the blink of an eye. He did all the rest to the extent that Ayaka came in carrying the cups and milk that was taken out from the fridge. Thank you. For once, let me say thank you. Without hearing his reply, she arrives at the table. He clearly says thanks for the food in the seat next to Ayaka, who softly says thanks for the food, and chews on it. Breakfast begins. First is a piece of tomato, and after putting it in her mouth, she eats the sunny side up fried eggs. Did it again. Despite not being aware of it, Aika exhales a sigh in her thoughts. In her usual habit, she had yet again made sunny side up fried eggs. My apologies. I take it that it wouldn't have been better if I hadn't heard of that, right? She didn't say anything. In that case, he whose place is as the most excellent servant knew that Ayaka didn't want to say. Was it because he had a magical connection with his master? No, that's not the case. He is just merely perceptive. Straight away, she speculates something. Even now, he absolutely knows what I'm apologizing for. The sunny side up fried eggs. I like them with either frying method, so I don't mind letting you give them to me in your favorite style. Okay. See, he knows. Without batting her eyes to him, Ayaka nods. Huh? She whispers in her mind, like she was trying to avoid his perception quietly. Although turnover eggs are really her favorite, although it was now, she's not really sure whether that's the case anymore. After all, she had continued to make sunny side up fried eggs, which her big sister had always liked. In the first place, she liked turnover eggs when she was younger, so she might have discovered tastes with her modest rebellious spirit toward her big sister, who was perfect. Suddenly, without knowing it, Aika was looking out the window. 8 years ago. It was as if she was dancing around and around, in the spot where that person was basking in the morning sun. Hey, Saber? What is it? You were my older sister's servant in the Holy Grail War 8 years ago, weren't you? That's right. Manaka was my master. What kind of master was she? My older sister, that is. A genuine curiosity, that's probably all that it is, Aika thinks to herself. Was it because she had hated to continue her meal in still silence, that it might be better for her to hear a lot or even a little bit of information about the Holy Grail War? A couple of reasons come to her mind. But the most closest one is that she's curious. Because she had suddenly become bothered about it. She still spoke of it at any rate. Manaka, well, let's see. She was an excellent magus. He smiles. She was very talented. She was not forgiven to other magi, but even so, I felt that she carried no less than first-grade talent somehow. Huh? She was feeling hooked on his words. She completely tilts her head. Oh, your memory of last time, about the first Holy Grail War, is fuzzy, right? I believe you've mentioned that before. Yes. Oh wait, no, this is the other way around. Sorry, oh no, that's different. Right? It's Ayaka saying, oh, your memory of last time about the first Holy Grail War is fuzzy, right? I believe you mentioned that before. And then he's like, oh, yes. 8 years ago, he was also participating in the Holy Grail War, the first ranked heroic spirit of the sword. He fought as my sisters, Manaka Seijo's servant, entirely defeating the other 6 heroic spirits and obtained the Holy Grail. However, right before that happened, he broke his contract. Okay. After effects, right. Is your memory from after being summoned this time all right? Oh, yes, there's no need to worry. The only unreliable part of my memory concerns the events of 8 years ago. He gives a nod. It didn't appear like there was something wrong with him. He was a flawless person. A person? No, a heroic spirit. Nestling close to herself, who is the lowest of the 7 ranked masters, princes. He is the first ranked servant, who had sworn to fight alongside her in the Holy Grail War. His smiling figure is truly refined like a hero drawn in a picture book, and yet it's overflowing with such a lively energy. Huh? His usual smiling face, even though it should have been that now for just a brief moment. There's somehow a seemingly sad, apologetic, almost unpleasant look on his face. Indeed, it's like it's been suspended on his face. Saber? Aika, may I ask you a question? Huh? Sure. Your older sister. About Manaka Seijo, how did you feel about her? Big sister. My big sister Manaka. A person who shone more than anyone else. A person who ran through the Holy Grail War of 8 years ago alongside Saber. The me of that time was still young, so there are a lot of things I can't remember now, but I can definitely remember some things. For example, right, about my sister, have always... A lump of meat. About my big sister? I have always, well, about my big sister, I liked her. She could do anything, magic as well as studying, besides she was pretty. A scream. Well, you see my big sister's hair used to glitter and sparkle so clearly in the sun. It was all very pretty and wonderful. It's not a lie. Although the time we spent together wasn't long, the times that we were together, she was always kind to me. It's not a lie, it's not a lie, it's true. Red. My older sister who was able to do anything. Well, no, my big sister. A pretty person, my big sis Manaka. Along with my father, she was a person who was surely kind to me. To the me who is ordinary and incapable of anything. I loved her. I say it once more. I try to smile while praying that I wasn't making an awkward face. Needless concerns. Well, I hope that's all they are. Right, they're probably nothing more than needless concerns. All of the entries jotted down in this notebook do not mean a thing, because a second Holy Grail War will never be held again. Regardless of whom the victor is, my family lineage will never be involved in the Holy Grail War again. The miracle of the Holy Grail will not happen again. Someone alone will reach the root without fail. With that, it's the end. But, if by any chance, if it comes to be, then are the words that the Overseer let slip to me the other day the truth? An excerpt from an old notebook. And then the girl reaches the garden, taking in lots of the morning sun, or the glass walls and ceiling. In the center of its radiance, she looks at the flock of pigeons who are swarming at her feet. While she thinks about the existence of the bandage that's wrapped around her own finger, she gently gathers one of the birds into her arms. The girl thinks on the past. There are not many things that she can remember anymore. Her memories of 8 years ago, for one. Her memories of her older sister. Her memories of her father. The girl contemplates on a few things. There were only 2 things she could remember in Fragments. She has no memories about her mother. Ayaka. The voice of a young man who she had gotten used to hearing resounds. Immediately close to the glass door of Garden's entryway was the figure of him. Due to the shining sunlight, even if the shadows were to fall on his face, the girl knows his expressions well. He is surely smiling even now. Gently releasing the pigeon that she carried in her arms, the girl nods straight at he who had green eyes. Yeah, let's go. And then I will walk. The year is 1999, towards the Second Holy Grail War, being held in this Tokyo again. I'm so mad there's no prototype to read. Are you kidding me? I'm so mad. What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, well, alright. We'll save the bonus content for next time. That'll be, well, let's just see. I'm just gonna take a quick look here. Add this as a thing. About how long is it? Yeah, oh, okay, yep, no, there's a bit. Okay, yeah, there's quite a bit. So in that case, we will be moving on with the special acts next time, guys, as we finish up Volume 1 of Fate Prototype. So thank you all. Well, Fate Prototype, Fragments, this guy's, yeah, I don't know how to talk about it. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys next time for some more. Ciao.